So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello there, everybody, and where the hell is our background gone to? There it is. How's everyone doing? Here for a Leeds preview. We're a bit late in getting this Leeds preview to you, but never fear, we're here. Better late than never. So we said we pop on. 9:30 seems like a nice time, and literally just as I was coming out here to the podcasting cave, Real Madrid banged one in to make it 2-1. And I was going, oh, the match is kind of interesting now. So I had to peel myself up off the couch. It's been one of those days, but I'm delighted to be able to talk about Villa Leeds because there's never a dull moment in a Villa Leeds game, Paddy, and I'm sure that tomorrow is going to be exactly the same. Even though Leeds no longer have their mad scientist as a coach.
Yeah, not necessarily a good thing for us, is it? Time will tell, I suppose. I know there's a lot of sound bites about this new manager. I confess that I know very little about him. So I've heard people calling him everything from a head case to Ted Lasso. So I honestly haven't had time to bless myself, let alone look up what kind of a manager he is or what to expect from him. But they did put in a fairly decent performance against Leicester the weekend. I saw a little bit of it while I was standing in the whole suite with Kieran O'Callaghan on Saturday afternoon through my little bit of drunken haze. But sure, all was good.
Yeah, they played well against Leicester, and I think a lot of we'll focus first on Leeds because, I couldn't even tell you whether they're going to play 4 at the back, whether they're going to play 3 at the back. I couldn't tell you who's going to be injured, who's not going to be injured. Like they might have Calvin Phillips, hardly going to be back. They might have Liam Cooper back. They might have Llorente back, which would be a big shot in the arm for them for their back four. They might have Bamford back. They might not have Bamford back. He was on the bench the last day. Some people were saying that that he might make the bench on Thursday night. It's a bit of a strange situation, but you mentioned about Jesse Marsch, and he's, for me, like he's basically kind of a product as he was probably the last. Sorry, I'll use English because I just completely forgot how to talk there for the last 15 seconds. Red Bull, the Red Bull kind of sports academy and stuff like that, and the Red Bull project, obviously, he started off over there. Well, he didn't start off, but he joined it with New York Red Bulls. And I think what they wanted to do is they wanted to see if they were able to make a coach. And I did a bit of reading up on this, and obviously he went Red Bull, the New York Red Bulls over there, and then he came over to Salzburg, and then obviously Salzburg, he was elevated into the position then of the Leipzig manager, and things were going fantastic, and he won what was put in front of him in the Austrian league, and pretty much put Salzburg back on the map again, and then he moved up to Leipzig, and then they pulled the trigger really quickly on him, and it just kind of like Red Bull aren't known for that. Like Red Bull aren't known for, they're not known for kind of getting rid of things too early. They're okay to let the experiment pan out and see how it goes. You see it with their Formula One team. You see it with even I went to one of the best events I've ever been to in my whole entire life was the Red Bull Cliff Diving Championships here in the Aran Islands in Ireland. They come over every year. And it was unbelievable. Like they just try this mad stuff, but they never allowed him any kind of betting in time at Leipzig. And that always kind of, I found it strange because he's not a bad manager, not at all a bad manager. And I just wonder why it didn't work out there. And there was nothing ever really made of it afterwards. Nagelsmann obviously goes to Barcelona or to Bayern Munich, and then Jesse Marsch gets the gig at Leipzig, and then he gets canned, I think, after something like 24 games. So he's a good coach. He really is. and it's going to be really interesting to see what he does with Leeds. But still saying that second game over the club, first game at home, it's just going to be really interesting to see what he does, because he has all his attacking prowess. Maybe won't have Bamford, but will still have all the same attackers. But what he does in defense is going to be really, really interesting, because that's where Leeds really need to shore up.
Well, it's just typical of us to get. I just saw someone in the comments reminding me that Newcastle got their first game at home with their manager against us, and now Leeds are getting the same thing. So, whoa,
3-1 Madrid. Is that correct? That's mad. And that was me. I know I shouldn't have peeled myself up off the couch to do a podcast. I should have waited. I'm not always late anyway. I should have been even more late than I normally am. But sorry, Paddy, you were going on there about Leeds. Apologies.
Yeah, so someone in the comments there, it's gone past me there, but they correctly said Newcastle got the manager bounce against us, got their first match at home, beat us, and now we've got Leeds with their first match at home, where the crowd are. I know they have a plan to sing Bielsa's name for most of the game tomorrow, and so be it. But I'm pretty sure the players will be giving them a bounce with a decent atmosphere, considering the fans don't have much love for us at all. So I'm looking forward to the game, but I have a feeling I'll be looking through my fingers at it. It's gonna be frantic enough, I'd say. But I think where the game is won and lost for Leeds is if they can conjure up some chances, because that seems to be their downfall at the moment. They just can't get goals. They're very leaky at the back. They're missing their leader there, Liam Cooper, as well. So there's a lot of things at play here. We could see Bamford back. Phillips is in around the squad. Does he risk them? I don't know. I think there's bigger fish to fry further down the line than bringing someone back for one game and getting them injured. So I could see why they didn't bring on Bamford the other night. I just couldn't see why he was in the squad in the first place if he wasn't fit enough. So yeah, to me that was a bit strange, and maybe he was just named in the squad just to give the fans a bit of hope that things are changing and things are coming back. So we'll just have to wait and see what they throw at us. But I'm expecting us to do very little different, other than perhaps bring in the guys that were missing at the weekend through COVID or whatever it was.
Yeah, I think we'll get onto the Villa team in a moment, because there's a lot of discussion points over that too. We've got a short turnaround between Thursday and Sunday, and we've essentially got 3 games in 7 days. So we'll talk about that in a moment. But with Leeds, I think one of the keys for Leeds at the moment, I did the Just Joe football show. He's a Leeds fan, and there was a couple. Well, basically, there were all Leeds fans on it, from Oscar Marino's on as well, and they were taught. I asked them a question while I was on the podcast, and I said to them, "Look, obviously, Luke Ayling is a cult hero at Leeds, like absolutely loved by Leeds. He's Leeds fans absolutely adore him. But is the time coming whereby he has to make a decision on what his actual position is, considering he's 30 years of age?" And I got the strangest response. Not the strangest, but I got a real honest, I suppose, response. And I would have found it difficult to give an honest response based on how much of a hero that Luke Ayling is. And Joe basically said to me, he goes, "I think this is his last year as a starter." And that kind of took me back. But then I remembered how Coutinho kind of ran for him, or ran at him, or kind of dragged him around the place when he played at right back the last day. And I think it's going to be really interesting for Jesse Marsch if he does play Ayling, like he played him as centre half against Leicester. Now they're obviously without Diego Llorente. They were without Liam Cooper as well. But he played him at centre half with Pascal Struijk, and he played Koch in midfield. I wonder, does he do that again? And I think that's probably their best option, because if he reverts to Ayling out at right back, I just don't think it's going to work for them. I really don't. I think Stuart Dallas is another player. Like with Bielsa, the position of fluidity that they were able to have because of their high pressing game, and it was essentially, if you see a spot, fill it. That's the way that Bielsa more or less played, specifically in defense. And I don't think they can do that anymore without having Bielsa at the helm. And I
Mhm.
think if they are going to become more structured, Stuart Dallas has to make a decision on his position, which looks to be right back. And Luke Ayling is going to have to move into the centre. But it's going to be really interesting because, as I said, Jesse Marsch did revert to three at the back during his time at Leipzig as well for a short period of time. And, he could very easily do that. He could go back to the three at the back system again for Leeds because, as I say, he's only there a wet week at the moment. And he's going to want to, like, if he's Llorente back, who's to say he doesn't play Llorente and Ayling either side of strike? So it's going to be a really interesting one because their front four more or less picks itself. You have to think they don't have Bamford. They're going to play James up top. They're going to play Harrison, Rodrigo, and Rafinha behind him. That's just the way it's going to go. They don't even have Tyler Roberts to bring in. Now they might play Joe Gelhardt. They might bring him in there somewhere. Maybe he starts at the top of the four, and maybe Jack Harrison comes out. Dan James goes to the left, Rafinha to the right, Rodrigo to the middle. Maybe Dan James goes through the middle. And
we could see it there for
Rodrigo
Forshaw as well. We could see Forshaw included in there as well.
Yeah, well, I think that he's going to play a Click and Cook there as the two holding midfielders because there's certain players that always have great games against Villa, and granted he didn't in the last game that we played, but usually Matthias Click plays brilliant against Aston Villa. So I'd prefer if he didn't play him, but you never know. It could be the situation. As long as Junior Firpo has played, because I've won a pile of money off him this year betting on Junior Firpo to get booked. Pile of money. He's played 14 games. He's been booked 8 times. It's just like he's going to put my child through college, I'd say, at this stage, if he keeps going the way he's going to go. So that's it's going to be really interesting to see. Like the team sheet tantrum tomorrow, I'll nearly be focusing more on Leeds than I will be on Aston Villa.
Well, to be honest with you, there's a lot of discussion going on there in the comments, right, about changing the team. I think if Luca Dean is fit, he comes straight back in because you're talking about playing Ashley Young twice in 5 days at left back at 36 years of age. Now we could be doing him a disservice. He could be up for it, but I'd bring him back in for sure. Ezri Konsa, that's debatable. I got a lot of stick last week for saying Callum Chambers was a baller. I think they can start eating their words now after that pass last weekend. So, look, Callum Chambers didn't do anything wrong. I thought the team did very well. I don't see where a change is going to be made other than at left back.
I think the two of them come back in. I think Konsa comes back in.
Possibly.
Back in.
Yeah.
I think the two of them come back in. Remember, guys, as well that look, and as I said it before, big fan of Courtney House, but like Courtney House had a good game against Manchester United, and then he tailed off again as he played more games in a row. And the calls for Courtney House, even from me, to say we got to have him in there, they dissipated. So that's like take nothing away from Callum Chambers, but Ezri Konsa and Tyrone Mings is our top partnership. It is, and Luca Dean is our best left back. That's the way I would do it. Who knows? Maybe Steven Gerrard says, "Listen, we won't break up a winning team. We'll play the same, and we might just bring in Dini in at left back." I think there's no way he doesn't play Dini at left back. I think that's nailed on, guaranteed, 100%.
Well, the only mitigating factor there is if they both had COVID, are they match fit to play, and that would be the mitigating factor with Dean not starting for me. Other than that, I think he's a shoo-in. And we don't even know if it was some kind of close contact or some false positive or whatever, because it was really unusual.
It was with a quick turnaround, though. You'd have to think it was, considering they were at the ground and it was a quick turnaround. I'd imagine it was a pre-game test that they came up positive in, and
because I think it's 5 days, so it's really strange. I don't know. We'll probably hear more about it tomorrow night.
Imagine so. I'd imagine. Well, they must be non-symptomatic anyway, because if they were fucked with it for the last couple of days, they're hardly going to come out and say that they're available for selection today, on Thursday. So, I think Dina starts. I think even 80% fit Dina starts. I just like he marshalled Rafinha really well the last time, and let's just hope he can do that again. He did it for Everton as well. I remember it was one thing that I said, because I was on that Leeds podcast as well prior to the first game, and the one thing they said was that they were disappointed to see that Digne moved to Villa. It was, he just, I won't say just moved to Villa, but he'd only been there a couple of weeks, and they said that they were disappointed to see that because of the fact that he matches up well with Rafinha down that wing. So long may continue. Who knows? Rafinha is absolutely superb, but hopefully he doesn't find his legs again against us tomorrow night. But looking at the Villa team, I think if there's any change there, and I think it will come in the midfield three, I think maybe he might rotate out Ramsey or someone like that. Maybe Luis. I just don't see him rotating out Douglas Luiz at the moment because of the specific role that he plays. Whether you think he plays it well or whether you think he doesn't play it well, there just isn't really anybody else in other than young Tim and Marvelous Nakamba who's out injured. Sanson doesn't play that position, I'm afraid. Yeah. But if you do want to see Sanson in the team, you could see him in there instead of a Jacob Ramsey. He's a full deck to shuffle, so he can bring in whoever he wants. The only one that's out is Marvelous Nakamba. Bertrand Traore is back. Of course, he was on the bench. Bailey. I think it's interesting what Stephen Gerrard said in the press conference today. Number one, he made a big point out of not, like he said, Philip Coutinho, is enjoying his football. He's playing well. He feels fit. He feels loved at the club. That's all good. That's all manager speak. But then what he went into was talking about that it was a front three, that the front three have been working together. So everybody was making a big deal, and the reporters were making a big deal out of Ings and Watkins. And he was going, hold on a minute. Ings and Watkins and Coutinho are my front three. So I enjoyed that, and I liked the way that he spoke about that. But I also thought that it could have been a bit of a smokescreen for a bombshell that could be coming down the line, whereby he actually plays with wingers at some stage. I don't know why I got that. He made a big point out of talking about playing with 2 10s and a 9 and playing with 2 9s and a 10 and stuff like that. And I think if Leon Bailey or a Bertrand Traore to come into this team, they don't play like you can't get him into the team if you play Watkins and Ings up there as well. No. So that kind of fluidity, he made a big deal out of the horses for courses kind of argument that he was trying to put across today. And I just wonder if maybe we see Leon Bailey start, maybe not this weekend, maybe against Arsenal on Sunday or something like that, because he's somebody who's working his way back into fitness, and maybe they want to get him game time before he goes off with Jamaica for a couple of weeks.
That's a possibility. I don't see any changes in that front three this weekend. I'm not sure who. Somebody was suggesting there that they rest the little magician. I don't think that's going to happen either. I think it was John Steele said it there in the comments. I don't see any changes in those two people coming back in that were out with COVID. I just think it would be absolute madness. And don't get me wrong, I watched. You gave me homework to do with the match, and I watched it intently. The midfield.
There's no way you remember what went on in that match, Paddy. There's no way. There's video evidence of you after the game. You know that.
Oh, I know.
Am I joking? Am I joking?
But it was incredible to watch the likes of Ramsey and McGinn, who are very influential usually, just letting the boys do their work. And then if the ball broke, they were there and they were breaking up play, or they were getting in the way, and they were making balls go sideways when they should be going forward. It was just brilliant. So, I honestly don't think there's going to be any changes. Like, everyone's gone, Jacob Ramsey had a very quiet game. Yeah, and nothing happened down his side. When he needed to cover, he covered. He didn't make any blocks, but he slowed down the play. He made it when he did make a couple of blocks, but he slowed down the play and made them play the ball backwards or inside. And that's what they seemed to do throughout the whole game, and completely nullified the attack.
And that's like the try-hard nature of this team. And I'm gonna say what, when we were getting our fullbacks really far forward, people were in positions they were uncomfortable with. At times, McGinn was there, Luis was there, Ramsey was there. They were all in positions they were uncomfortable with. And then it becomes a try-hard kind of aspect to their game. Try and do something that maybe you're not comfortable with, and you're not putting your players in the best position to succeed. Since the fullbacks have played in a more fullback position, actually, in fairness, looking at the two maps from the last two games, it's funny that they actually look like fullbacks from where their average position is, which is, call me old-fashioned, but I like to see my fullbacks sometimes defend. because that wasn't happening before, and it was complete isolation for Mings and for Konza and for Chambers when he was played there. So the fact that we've been able to play the two lads up front, Ings and Watkins, means that we're getting our width from there, because one of them does pull wide quite often. Coutinho is getting the space in the middle of midfield, which is fantastic. And McGinn and Ramsey, as you said, McGinn and Ramsey can just go about doing what they do best. Yeah, Ramsey isn't driving forward with the ball, and hasn't scored in however many games, last 3 or 4 games or whatever it is like that. But it's the team effort. It's about being a more solidified kind of midfield than we were previously, because it's all well and good Ramsey scoring 1 or 2 goals if we're leaking them and we're losing goals at the back. So things like that will come, but for the time being, fullbacks, they're good enough to get up, but they are also good enough to get back as well. So let's see them get back and defend too, because it was very, very kamikaze stuff for a 3 or 4 game period there, where our fullbacks were so high. And thank God that has been fixed anyway, at least, if nothing else.
And how it's been fixed, it's been brilliant. Last couple of weeks have been amazing. The transformation between those 2 games where we were, or even the 3 games if you count the Leeds one, a team that can't score goals comes in and scores 3 against us. It just, the alarm bell should have been ringing at that stage, and then we go and lose 2 games that we should have won, and now we've potentially won 2 games that we maybe shouldn't have won, but we won them well. So he got the system right. We gotta pat him on the back when it goes right. And what do you say? Patting the back is 6 inches away from a kick in the arse. So he gets that wrong tomorrow night, and all of a sudden we're kicking him on the arse again. But if we like I watched that on Saturday, and I did not feel that we got out of third gear. It really just felt like we had more to offer there. I just thought we were absolutely excellent across the park. It just seemed measured and pedestrian, and it was just like, take your time. This is coming, and it came. And thankfully we scored early, because once we scored early, we never looked in any danger.
Look, don't want to say that I called it before the game, but when we do score early, we look a completely different team. And same even under Dean Smith. Remember that game against Arsenal last year, was it? We scored first 90 seconds and then just had a complete and utter siege mentality then for the rest of the game. Was it Arsenal, I think? We won 1-0. This team is, I was going to say this team is better at holding a lead, but just look at the Leeds game that we played when we played them last time, and look at the Wolves game earlier on in the season. So that would have been a pretty stupid comment to make. But we're better when we score first. When Watkins got the early goal, the tails were up, and when you've got, I know we haven't paid anything for Coutinho yet, but when you've got 100 million worth in 3 strikers up there, one of which is the 3rd most expensive striker or most expensive player ever, you kind of want to be utilizing them, and you want to be getting them into the game early. But it's not rocket science. We called it after the Watford game, after the Newcastle game. Literally, get Coutinho space, things will happen. And they've started to find Coutinho space, and guess what? Things are happening. We've scored 6, conceded none in the last 2 games, and we've had 5 different goal scorers from the last 6 goals. So that's great. That's what you want. You want to spread them around. You want to spread them around amongst your strikers and your forward players, and long may that continue. A couple of comments there. So just to go through a couple of comments. But Dermot says, do you think we should stick with the same team as Saturday, or bring back who was missing? Played really well on Saturday. And look, I can see an argument for both of them, for both situations. Look, it's a good conversation to be having, because I don't think there's. I think Digne is just is just so much better than Young. Look. You guys know my opinion on Ashley Young. He did a fine job at the weekend, but I don't want him to be there for 3 or 4 games in a row. I just don't think he has it in him. Don't think he has 3 games in the space of 7 days in him either. We bring back Luca Dean in there. I think it's definitely whether the Callum Chambers, the Konza piece. I'm open to convincing, and that I think Konza comes back in there just because I think he's the better player. Conversely, though, Nathan has said that I would not put Konza back in because Chambers has done enough to keep his place. Will Konza have made that pass to Coutinho? I don't think he has that pass in him. And I think you're right. I don't think he has that pass in him. But that doesn't make him a better defender in my book.
No, it doesn't make
him starting.
It doesn't make him a better defender. And look, there is the logic in saying, don't change it, a winning team. Chambers for me, I thought has been excellent in the last 2 games. I know I got pelters last week for saying it, and I don't know why, because a few people messaged me and said that was harsh. I got pelters on Twitter, but look, it's a matter of opinion. But I thought Chambers was excellent. I thought he was excellent the weekend. He just looked so comfortable. He has a range of passes. Nobody saw that pass coming to Coutinho. That was just incredible.
He's super. Great pass.
When everybody settled down from the limbs flying left, right, and centre, we look up at the screen at the replay and we go, I thought that was Coutinho playing the ball over the top. Because if Coutinho did it, we'd be talking about it for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But instead it was our centre half, which is absolutely amazing.
Great problem to have, as I say, and could be a steal of a signing. And I'm okay. I'm okay if he starts. I'm okay if he starts on Thursday. Absolutely no problem with Callum Chambers starting Thursday. I just think that he brings back in Konza for sure. But once again, great problem to have, and great to have to have a manager that has the confidence to play him and be vindicated with his last 1 or 2 performances, which is great. Cormac Grady says, thank you very much. First of all, Cormac, thanks a million for the super chat. Lads, Man City's last game is versus Villa. Gerrard is going to win Liverpool League after all. I actually think I mentioned that on the Leeds podcast we were doing, because I was asked. It was more so a podcast about the whole Premier League as well. It got into that kind of conversation, and I was asked who will win Villa, or who will win Liverpool or Man City, who will win the league. And I think Liverpool will win. That's what I said. I think we could have a say in it in the very last day of the season. And it was exactly that. That's what I said. I said it would be great to see Man City come to Villa Park and maybe Villa hold them to a 0 or to a rip-roaring 1-1 draw or something like that. Rear guard action. Grealish slumps to his knees at the final whistle as Liverpool puts 6 against whoever they're playing that day, and Liverpool win the league on goal difference. What a situation that would be. But it could very easily happen. You're dead right. You're dead right. Here's one small, slightly off topic. Terrorist Synthesizer says, will we keep Chukwuemeka next season, Paddy?
Short answer is yes. I don't believe a player that quality is going to go anywhere better than Aston Villa and get a run. So I think he'll stay and keep his progression moving forward. Now he may stay and see out his contract. I don't know what kind of guy he is. That could very well happen, but the short answer is I think he will. Yeah.
Penny, back to the Chambers conversation. Drop Chambers and you send a bad message to the dressing room. Agree or disagree?
Good question. I neither agree or disagree. I get exactly what Ray is saying. But like if you ask everyone in those comments who's our first choice centre halves, it's Mings and it's Konza. So if I'm making a decision, I leave Chambers in there. I think it will do wonders for him. And who are we to say, does it send a bad message to the dressing room? I don't think it does. I don't think it does. If you've got that's a tough question.
It's a tough question, and I think the circumstance of how Chambers actually got the start at the weekend probably plays into it. So if Konza had been dropping stinkers for the last 4 or 5 weeks and Chambers was put in there and played well, and then Konza then came back in, but I don't think that's been the case. But arguably, you could say that it would have sent a bad message to the dressing room after Konza got his 2-match ban for his red card, and then got straight back into the team once he came back as well. So I don't know. As you say, I don't care who. I don't really care who starts. I probably think though that Steven Gerrard puts Konza back in there because of the Konza Mings partnership. But once again, as I said, it's a good problem to have. Having 2 people there. Because,
I think the dressing room. I think the dressing room is solid enough. I think we've got a lot of guys, a lot of big characters sitting on the bench at the moment who don't seem to be whinging. So That's a big thing for me. If you've got the likes of Buendia, Bailey, these are huge characters to be sitting on the bench. And I think we're obviously doing a very good job with these guys because there doesn't seem to be any soundings coming out of the dressing room.
Thanks very much for the super chat, Voice of the Villains. Voice of the Villains says Mings and Chambers can't do it every week. Konza in. I don't know if they can't do it every week, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Konza come in there again either.
Mm-hmm.
What else do we have here? There's something else I wanted to talk about, Paddy, and I can't remember what it is. It's been a long day and a long week, but there was something else I wanted to bring up with your good self. I can't remember how it is. We talk about the North Stand. God, I can't remember. No, it's not going to come to me. It looks like we're going to have to do another podcast. We might be back on again about 11 o'clock, lads, if I remember what I need to tell Paddy.
It must be very important if we're going to do another podcast.
What I wanted to ask him. Yeah, but it's not going to be now. Right, so guys, I suppose we're going to be back tomorrow with a team sheet tantrum again for the Leeds game. Team sheet tantrum starting at 6:50. When the team should be announced. It's an 8 o'clock kick, is it?
I think it's 7:45.
Either way, we'll be doing a team sheet tantrum anyway, no matter where we are. So
7:45. So it's 6:35.
Well, there we go. 6:35 kickoff. So
just want to give a big shout out to Kieran O'Callaghan, who I had the pleasure of his company on Saturday for a couple of points before the game in the whole suite, and it was lovely because we interact with Kieran every week, and he comes on and chats to us, and we've actually had him on the podcast in the past.
He's young lad. It was a great podcast too as well.
Yeah, and if you're not already subscribing, have a look for B6 Ben. Two guys are in great form. We had a good chat, myself and Stephen. So it's great to finally meet guys that you interact with on the podcast after all this time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I met many of them on Saturday, but by the time I met some of them, I was in a deteriorating state. But I got a few hugs and a few pats on the back and lads talking to me, especially in the Sacred Heart. So if you did pat me on the back, I apologise for not knowing who you were and and not remembering either, because let's just say I was a little bit merry.
That's okay too. If you can't celebrate a 4-0 win, when can you celebrate? Ray O'Connor asks another question here, Paddy, and we'll leave it on this one. Here's the question. Name a better individual performance than Coutinho against Southampton. Benito Carbone versus
versus Leeds. Versus Leeds
in the FA Cup.
Yeah. And we just want to address that because they say never fall in love with a lone player, and Carbone was the last lone player.
Yeah, that's why I brought him up.
And I was at that game against Leeds as well, and oh my God, he similar to Coutinho, he just had that vision of dropping into a quarterback position where he always had the ball. He was just an incredible player. And on Saturday, I fell hook, line, and sinker in love with Coutinho. The man is just unbelievable, absolutely incredible. All the players, some of the players didn't come over to the kids before the game, and there was nothing stopping him. A fella gave him a shout. He came over. He took pictures with all the kids. Another shout out to Tim Irogbunam, who taught me how to pronounce his name. He taught me how to pronounce his name.
Did you ask him how to pronounce it?
I did. So he had a good laugh at that question, but now we know how to say it. Irogbunam. He puts the emphasis on the boo.
Irogbunam. Okay. Well, at least
I wasn't that drunk, Neil. I was able to pick up that much information.
Yeah, well, I'll ask Stephen. I'll make sure that Stephen can corroborate that evidence. And
so he's not young Tim anymore. He's Tim Irogbunam.
Irogbunam. Now we've only got another 6 or 7 players. We need to figure out how to pronounce their names correctly. So we're getting there. We're getting there.
The next time I'll ask Carney.
Yeah, God, do please do. Right, lads, we're going to leave it at that. It's just after 10 p.m. here in Ireland, but we'll be back tomorrow at 6:35 with a team sheet tantrum. As I say, we'll go down through the team sheets of Aston Villa and Leeds tomorrow. So if you guys are around, we'd absolutely love to have you join. Bring your comments and let's get a small little bit let's get a small bit of buzz going before the game against Leeds tomorrow. Could be a big one. Could be the first time that we've won 3 in the bounce in quite a while. But don't want to take any for granted against Leeds, who are resurgent under Jesse Marsch, because they're an unknown entity and they are playing at home as well. So that is something to bear in mind. But thanks so much, everybody, for joining. Really means a lot. If you could just hit the like button on this on YouTube, the thumbs up button really helps us out. And if you know of anybody who might want to join us tomorrow for the Team Sheet Tantrum, tell them about our podcast, our retweet, our tweet to let the world know. But thanks so much to everybody for everything you do. That's going to do it for tonight, and we'll see you again tomorrow. And all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.